So here's my family. That's my wife on the top left, and that's myself with her. Those are my 3 kids, currently and here in 2014. And that's my dog Posey. She's a cute little, sweet little girl. I love her to death. So this is who I come home to every day. First thing I want to talk about, right off the bat, just because there's a difference of opinions, right? On everyone has their own opinion. And that's one thing I need to make clear about this is my opinion. This is the way I approach character design. There are definitely different types. There's television animation, and you have to think about what that is. What is television? Well, it's the stuff that's put on TV, and it's meant to be very stylized. It's meant to be graphic. It's meant to be very simplified, because that's what it has to be, because this is something that, they're not going to be spending a ton of money on to make. It just this kind of thing is, that's how the industry is. Some things just need to get made quick and fast. And if there's a cool new idea, a new art direction, then they're going to try and go that way. But television is very graphic and very stylized, and it's very different from feature animation, because in feature animation, we're trying to actually capture character, capture emotion, capture posing, gesture, life. There's so many things that are more important in feature, because in feature, you have to capture the audience for over 90 minutes and sometimes more. And it's a tough thing to do. If you have a super stylized character on the screen for 90 minutes, who knows if, it's hard to tell a story with that person, because there's a lot of times that we can't relate to like a totally wacky shape, and you're just pushing shapes just because it's something new you haven't done yet. It's a different way of thinking. And I know that a lot of this may sound a little crazy to some people, because when you think of character design, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? There's like some crazy push characters that I love, and they're amazing. That is so true. I totally agree. But when you're caricaturing someone, you can really push things to the point where it becomes so about the style and not about the character. And that's what I mean by television animation versus feature animation. And the other thing is there's illustration. There's children's books, there's postcards, there's magazine illustration. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that is all about character design, and that's a whole nother take. And I'm not saying any of that is wrong. My class here, this is the whole point of this one, is to teach you feature animation. Okay, so that's the main focus of this class, is to teach you characters for feature animation. And it's hopefully that makes sense to you what I just said. Basically, like, I'll give you a few examples. What does that mean? A character for a feature animated film must be able to engage with the audience on an emotional level for a 90-minute or more period, right? The audience must be able to relate to the characters in order to do that. It's so much more than just push shape, and that's what I'm going to teach you. I want you guys to understand that it's not just about, I got this great new shape, and look at how cool that side is and that edge is, and look at how I'm playing off the straights against the curves, and oh yeah, it's great. And I've seen so many designs where I've seen that stuff, but there's no life to any of those drawings. It's just like, oh, they're cool shapes, they look great, they're really appealing, but where's the life? That's what I want to know. I want to see characters come to life on the screen, because when I can relate to them, I'm engaged. I'm in. I'm sold on that character. If it's a cool new design, I mean, it's cool, but what is that really saying to me? So visual examples, right? Here's some stuff for postcards, illustrations, and TV animation. And what I got to say about all this stuff is I think it's all very appealing. I love Dexter's Lab design. I love Powerpuff Girls design. This cool little elf is a great little postcard. The little bunnies are super cute and super sweet, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this design. There is a difference, though, from feature animation to this stuff, because if you look at Dexter's Lab design, right, what do you feel when you look at that family? Have you seen a family that looks like that? Can you relate that to somebody that you know? That's the questions you have to ask yourself. I mean, look at Dee Dee. She doesn't even have any eyebrows, right? She's the little girl with the pink stripes. How do you emote without eyebrows? She just looks super stoked. She's super excited right now. Her expression is, there's really no expression there. Same with the mom. But that's okay for that show, because that's what that show was meant to be. That show is hilarious. And it works for that show. Same thing with Powerpuff Girls. You look at all their head shapes and they're all circles, right? With little bodies and little limbs coming out of them. And they're gigantic eyes. Again, super appealing. I love their designs. And when I first saw that show, I was like, wow, that's beautiful. That's great design. But it works for that show. It's hard to tell us an engaging story with characters that look like this, okay? So now I'm going to the feature side of things, character design. And you look at these guys, and you just look at how much form, how much life, how much structure, how much gesture they have. And every single one of these poses, you know exactly what that character is thinking, how they feel, what type of person they are. To me, character design is this exact same way as when you meet someone in life. When you meet somebody, you have a gut reaction towards them. You have a sense of who they are. What type of person are they? Do you like them? Do you not? Are they kind of conceited? Are they really good people? Right? I mean, we all, as universally, that's what we do as human beings. We are constantly observing, whether we know it or not. This is that in character design. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about characters that we can relate to, characters that aren't just shapes, but there's actual life. There's, if I look at the character in the center above the Sword in the Stone, I believe it's her name, Madam Mim. God, I'm trying to remember her exact. Anyways. This is from Sword in the Stone, from Disney's feature. But I feel like I met an old lady like that has that type of body gesture. I don't know anybody with purple hair like that and green eyes, but see, that's where they're taking liberties to engage themselves into something new, and that's one way to still push things, but being rooted in life. If you look at, the little boy on the top right, he's that pose is so genuine. It's so authentic. It's great. So these are all examples of that, what I'm talking about, the difference between the two designs. So we go from this, and then you go back to that, and then you can see the differences. Here's some more examples of that. This is Incredibles and designs from Iron Giant. And you just look at the variety of shape. You look at Edna Mode, you look at Syndrome, you see the Incredibles and Frozen, then the lineup from Iron Giant. And they're all so vastly different from each other, but they're also unique. And they're not just shapes being pushed around to be pushed. They're very specific characters. That lineup on the bottom with all the kids, right? These are going back in perspective, so they're not really scaled like this, but it's just basically showing how this is an example of how they showed how to simplify the character if they're drawn in the background versus the foreground on detail, because, in 2D animation, you had to limit yourself and simplify things as much as possible. But these are more great examples of what it's like to design characters for feature animation and what it is that I'm talking about. So character designers' responsibilities. What are we as a character designer? What is my role at Pixar? I'm more than just an artist, right? I'm more than just trying to draw characters. I'm a casting director. Why am I a casting director? Because I'm choosing the cast that's going to be played in these movies. I'm designing them. It's not like I can go just pick an actor and say, okay, you're in. No, I have to design what they look like, and the director has to buy off on my designs. I'm also an actor. Why am I an actor? Because when I take my characters, I'm acting them out and putting them in poses, and not just drawing them standing straight up with their hands to the side, really generic poses. No, I'm acting them out. I'm bringing them to life. It's the same way when directors, they don't just pick actors because of the way they look. They actually audition them, or they watch them play roles in other films, and they see how they act, because that's such a huge part of their character. They want to make sure that as they act, it works for the character that director is trying to tell the story of. I'm a draftsman also, because I have to be able to understand how to turn characters around and draw them from every angle and squash and stretch and all that stuff. An animator, same thing. Same thing as an actor. It's like I'm also animating these characters because I have to animate life into them. I'm an artist, right? What I said earlier. And then a costume designer, because costume design is a huge part of character. It helps place the character in a certain time and place and make things more authentic, that's one of the most important things, is being able to really root your designs into actual reality. Another thing that I am is I'm an observer, which we all are. An observer is the most important thing, because you have to observe from life in order to draw authentic characters.